Brane in a jar refers to a thought experiment that questions the nature of reality and the reliability of our perceptions. The concept suggests that it might be possible for a human brain to be removed from the body and kept alive in a jar, connected to a computer that simulates a virtual reality. In this scenario, the brain would experience a simulated world that is indistinguishable from reality, leading to the question of whether we can be certain that our current experiences are not also a simulation. This idea has been explored in various fields, including philosophy, science fiction, and even neuroscience. Some proponents of this theory argue that, given the rapid advancement of technology, it is conceivable that a sophisticated enough simulation could be created to fool a brain into believing it is experiencing reality. They point to the development of virtual reality technology and the increasing understanding of how the brain processes information as potential evidence that such a scenario might one day be possible. Others have used this thought experiment to explore questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and the relationship between the mind and the body. If a brain can experience a simulated reality, it raises questions about what constitutes the self, and whether our physical bodies are essential to our sense of being. Some philosophers have even suggested that we cannot prove that we are not currently living in a simulated reality, as any evidence we might use to disprove the theory could itself be part of the simulation. Brain pollution is a term used to describe the idea that exposure to certain environmental factors, such as electromagnetic fields, chemicals, or even certain forms of media, can have a detrimental effect on brain function. Proponents of this theory suggest that modern life exposes us to a variety of pollutants that can alter brain chemistry, leading to a range of cognitive and psychological issues. Some believe that the increasing prevalence of conditions such as ADHD, depression, and anxiety may be linked to brain pollution. They point to studies that have shown potential links between exposure to certain chemicals, such as pesticides and heavy metals, and neurodevelopmental disorders. Others argue that the proliferation of electronic devices and the increasing amount of time people spend in front of screens may also contribute to brain pollution. They suggest that the constant stimulation and information overload associated with digital media could lead to attention problems, memory issues, and even changes in brain structure. Some advocates of this theory also propose that the content of media, such as violent or sexually explicit material, could have a polluting effect on the brain, particularly in young people whose brains are still developing. While the concept of brain pollution is still being researched and debated, some experts believe that taking steps to reduce exposure to potential pollutants, such as minimizing screen time and avoiding certain chemicals, could help protect brain health. More research is needed to fully understand the complex relationship between environmental factors and brain function. Brain world refers to a concept in theoretical physics that suggests our universe is embedded in a higher dimensional space called the bulk, with the universe itself being a four-dimensional membrane, or brane, within this space. This idea is derived from string theory, which proposes that the fundamental building blocks of the universe are tiny, vibrating strings of energy. In the brain world scenario, these strings are confined to the surface of the brain, while gravity is the only force that can leak into the bulk. Some proponents of this theory argue that it could help explain certain puzzling aspects of our universe, such as the weakness of gravity compared to the other fundamental forces. If gravity is the only force that can travel through the bulk, it would be diluted across the extra dimensions, making it appear weaker than the other forces confined to the brain. The brain world concept has also been used to explore the possibility of parallel universes existing within the same higher dimensional space. These universes could be separated by a small distance in the extra dimensions, but would be invisible to us because of our confinement to our own brain. Some scientists have even suggested that the Big Bang that created our universe could have been the result of two brains colliding in the higher dimensional space. While the brain world theory is still speculative and lacks direct observational evidence, it has attracted interest from many theoretical physicists as a potential framework for understanding the nature of our universe and its place in a possibly much larger multiverse. The concept continues to inspire new ideas and theories in the fields of cosmology and particle physics, as scientists work to unravel the mysteries of the universe and its origins. Breath resetting refers to the idea that consciously controlling and manipulating one's breathing patterns can help reset the body and mind, leading to various physical and psychological benefits. Proponents of this theory suggest that by engaging in specific breathing techniques, such as deep diaphragmatic breathing or alternate nostril breathing, one can activate the body's relaxation response and reduce stress and anxiety. They argue that the way we breathe is closely tied to our autonomic nervous system, which regulates involuntary functions like heart rate and digestion. By deliberately slowing down and deepening the breath, they believe it is possible to shift the body from a state of sympathetic dominance, the fight or flight response, to parasympathetic dominance, the rest and digest state. Some advocates of breath resetting point to the long history of breathwork in various spiritual and wellness traditions, such as yoga and meditation, as evidence of its potential benefits. They note that many of these practices place a strong emphasis on the regulation of breath as a means of promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In recent years, scientific research has begun to lend some credibility to the idea of breath resetting. Studies have shown that certain breathing techniques can indeed have a measurable impact on physiological markers such as heart rate variability, blood pressure, and cortisol levels. While more research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms behind breath resetting and its potential applications, proponents argue that the simplicity and accessibility of breathwork make it a promising tool for self-regulation and stress management. They suggest that by incorporating regular breathing practices into one's daily routine, it may be possible to cultivate a greater sense of balance, resilience, and overall well-being. Breatharianism is a belief that humans can survive solely on air and light, without the need for food or water. Proponents of this idea claim that the human body can be trained to draw sustenance from the energy of the universe, particularly through the practice of breathwork and meditation. They argue that the need for physical nourishment is a mental and cultural construct, and that by transcending this belief, one can attain a higher state of spiritual enlightenment and physical well-being. Some breatharians point to the concept of prana, a vital life force in Hindu philosophy, as the source of energy that can sustain the body without the need for material nourishment. They believe that by learning to harness and absorb this energy through specific breathing techniques and spiritual practices, it is possible to overcome the body's dependence on food and water. Anecdotal accounts from individuals claiming to have successfully practiced breatharianism, sometimes for extended periods, are often cited by proponents as evidence of the validity of this belief. The scientific community overwhelmingly rejects the idea of breatharianism as a viable means of sustenance. The human body requires a consistent supply of nutrients and hydration to maintain essential functions, and there is no credible evidence to suggest that these needs can be met through air and light alone. In fact, attempts to practice breatharianism can be extremely dangerous and have led to severe health consequences, including malnutrition, dehydration, and even death in some cases. Despite the lack of scientific support, the idea of breatharianism continues to hold an allure for some individuals who are drawn to the promise of spiritual transcendence and the idea of rising above the physical needs of the body. The Broder's engine proposes the creation of an infinite energy machine using coils of copper wrapped around magnets. When the magnets move through the coils, the electrons in the copper shift, generating electricity. By arranging thousands of these coil magnet setups in a specific order and connecting them to a lever system, proponents suggest the possibility of perpetual motion, where the movement of magnets continuously generates power. Supporters claim successful closed experiments, but argue that societal and economic forces, such as the influence of oil and electricity companies, hinder widespread adoption or acknowledgement of the technology.